records. Smell the cover, read all the verses. Tell me about your favorites on vinyl and vision.
Hello folks, thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Vinyl and Vision. Here we are with episode 108. Today's very special guest is Doug Mioducki. Doug is the guitarist for a band called Quits from Denver, Colorado. They currently have just released a brand new album called Feeling It on, excuse me if I slaughter this, Sleeping Giant Glossolalia? Glossolalia? I am having a hell of a time with that name. Also had a hell of a time with a lot of this. This show is becoming increasingly difficult as the episodes go on. This one, difficult because, again, I am tackling a record that has no understandable lyrics. One song is sung in a different language. You'll hear about that soon enough. The other songs have vocals but no lyrics. So, again, nothing to go off of. But the album in discussion tonight is Sonny Sharrock's Black Woman from 1969. So no lyrics are needed for this album. I think that's what Doug and I come to the conclusion of over the course of our conversation. It's a hard record to talk about. Doug was afraid to talk about it. I was afraid to talk about it. I think that some of the reasonings that I had to be weary of trying to have a conversation about this album were not necessarily the same as Doug's, though I do think we did share a commonality in at least one aspect of how it's difficult. So let's tackle that now, just to get it right out there in the open. This album is by Sonny Sharrock. It's called Black Woman, released in 1969. So I am not a historian by any means for American history nor music history, but I think that it's kind of clear to see that though there is a lack of lyrics in the album Black Woman, it is an incredibly poignant, powerful piece that is pretty much trying to shed light on the idea of racial injustice and maybe racial tensions in America at that time in 1969. And unfortunately, it seems that it's still, completely relevant to today as well. So it's a heavy record. It's a heavy record for that reason. In performance-wise, it's incredibly impressive as well. It's just, if you don't know this album, you should definitely listen to it. And if you do, or when you do, be aware it's going to be hard to listen to. There are going to be moments that maybe sonically it presses your limitations, but on a very kind of on a humanly level, like on an artistic and kind of like emotional level, this record can fuck you up. It can just floor you. I mean, it's kind of devastating, but kind of incredibly beautiful at the same time. So I think that's what Doug and I were trying to come to the conclusion of over the course of this discussion. So we're kind of trying to wrap our brains around and verbalize in a tangible way, which was a little difficult. But I think we kind of got there, and if not, I'm kind of just dropping that right here in the beginning just so that everyone's on the same page. So Doug is in the band Quits from Denver, Colorado. Their new record is out currently. It's available everywhere that you can stream music, but we also, of course, encourage you to purchase it. We will provide links in the show notes to the Bandcamp pages where it is available. And I do encourage you also to please go listen to, if not buy, Sonny Sharrock's Black Woman album as well. I will provide a link to at least one digital platform for it so that you can listen to that as well. Do it. By all means, it will change your life in one way or another. I can kind of guarantee that. Thank you very much, folks, for tuning in. We very much appreciate everyone's support. One of the things we ask that you do is please do all the things you do with the internet, like, share, subscribe, comment, rate, review. All of those things, they really help us out. And if you care to help us out in a financial way, you can always visit our website, psychicstatic.net, and make a purchase there for anything. Anything on the website that's available to purchase goes towards funding our show, and we really appreciate it. Thank you very much, folks. Enjoy. Hello, Doug.
I'm doing it on my phone, if that's all right.
That's okay. Where are you?
At Wax Tracks Records in Denver.
Oh, cool. Are you working?
Yes.
Are you the owner, or what's happening here?
A buyer here. We recently lost some people, so I couldn't get the day off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
okay. So
I have plenty of time and be free to sit around and talk.
Okay. All right. So what's going on, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the store first and foremost. I mean, you're in a record store right now. You work there, Wax Tracks Records, you said?
I worked here for a long, long time. I worked here since early 90s.
Okay.
Although I did take a few years off, 5, 6, 7 or something like that, and moved to Pittsburgh. And then I thought that I liked Denver a lot, so I moved back to Denver. And the owners here are super cool dudes, some of the coolest guys. They kickstarted Denver's punk scene for sure, and maybe early enough to be there at the beginning of the whole punk explosion. They're really cool dudes, Dwayne Davis and Dave Stidman, especially Dwayne. And they just let me come on back and do whatever I wanted. And the store is rad. It's one of the best record stores in the country, man.
Cool, man. Well, I hope to visit some point. You know, I mean, I love a good record store, obviously.
Could stay at my place.
Okay, cool, man. In Denver, huh?
Yep.
All right, yeah. No, we should just get right into this because I don't want to, take any more time of yours than I need to. But so where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Chicago. Was born there. Moved to the suburbs. My parents moved to the suburbs where I spent my formative years learning stuff. Spent some time in DeKalb and Chicago after that, and then moved to Denver when I think I was 20 years old. I think right before my 21st birthday.
Oh, okay.
To play with a band. That was the name of the band back then.
What was the name? I didn't catch it.
Felt Pilots.
Felt Pilots.
Still
Okay.
Them, and actually they were a jangle pop band. I think back then, 1990, we were called slowcore.
Kind of like Low, or like
yes, we were buddies with Low for sure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I still see Zach, or I still will say something to Zach online every once in a while, but it was distressing to hear about Mimi from Low, to be sure.
Yeah.
Those were the days when I moved here, the early days when they were just starting to call stuff slowcore.
Wow, that's something I haven't even heard about in a long time. I haven't even thought about it. Slowcore.
Right? Codeine. Who else? Yeah. Codeine and Low. That was it.
That sounds like about right. My Bloody Valentine, kind of?
Nah.
Kind of? Not really? Yeah, shoegaze.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now, growing up in Chicago, you came from a home, parents in the house?
Both parents in the house, sure.
Yeah.
And they were good parents. Our basement was the punker basement. We had the graffiti on the walls and the fishnets hanging from the ceiling and all the punker flyers. And I was not too much of a problem child, but my parents were good enough to let any problem child get rid of their problems in our basement. It was a good place to grow up and learn your shit.
Yeah, yeah. And so they were supportive of you kind of learning music and kind of just using it as your outlet.
Years, but for sure, yeah, they let me and some weirdos definitely play weirdo music in the basement for sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then what age were you starting to play weirdo music?
13. I mean, I think that when I jumped in, we started a band just to start a band. And we dove right into the weirdo shit. Nobody knew how to play. We just maybe drew straws to see who got which instrument, and just because we didn't know what we were doing, I think it was fairly weird. It was the hardcore days,
Yeah.
and we fancied ourselves a hardcore band,
Okay.
but it was never quite hardcore. It was always something funnier or weirder or stupider than hardcore.
Okay. That's cool. So 13, so what did you end up playing? Like what straw did you draw?
I drew the bass,
Okay.
which was fun, not as hard to learn as the guitar. And there's some 7 inches out there. Just silly pre-high school, even punk music. And it was fun, but we were sort of friends with some older folks,
Mm-hmm.
not too
Okay.
much older or not weirdly older, but we were able to pretty early on as a kid start playing like the college circuit and some weird bars. It was mid 80s and there was hardcore bars or punker bars and stuff around, niche bars around.
Sure.
And as a young kid, I was able to go and experience that kind of shit, play
Yeah. Cool.
crazy shows as a young kid, and it blew my mind, sort of
Yeah.
ruined for this life forever.
Yep.
I mean,
Ruined. Okay.
it really did. Like, I don't,
Because you dove
well,
too deep. Is that why?
I just liked it too much. It's too much fun. You just do whatever you wanted. And also maybe those days of punk music, which that's the scene I was involved in, was definitely the punk scene.
Mhm.
But those days were weirder. Like, punk didn't mean anything back then. It meant whatever you wanted it to mean. And going and playing those shows as a little kid to older people where people were drinking beers and smoking and knew more about music than me, but they were all very accepting of me. It was just awesome.
Yeah. That's great. Well, so what was music like in the house?
In the house growing up,
Yeah, what were you
well,
hearing? What were you listening to?
it was Chicago in the late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s. And it was the Chicago radio dial was full of classic rock stations, which meant a little something different maybe than it does today. Not really. Same classic rock, just less U2. But that's
Mhm.
what I grew up on, is the Who and Pink Floyd and the Rolling Stones and what have you. That's what I gravitated towards. There was pop music always floating through the scene, because I just listened to music,
Mhm.
but I definitely gravitated more towards stuff like the Kinks or that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Sort of trashy garage adjacent rock.
Yeah, yeah. But so the radio was your main
Girl,
influence point.
sure. Oh, yeah. I had a brother 2 years older than me who was never too hip, but hip enough to point me out to a few cool things. But,
Hmm.
uh, and heck, man, my dad was cool. My dad was a weirdo
That's great.
who he was not a weirdo, but he gave me, as a very young kid, he would show up occasionally with a record and say, here's the Velvet Underground. I think you're
Ooh,
going to like this. Or
yeah,
here's Bob Marley. I think you're going to like this. Or here's the 13th floor elevators. You might like this. He did not know those bands. He did not
really.
like bands. And as I became more engulfed in those scenes, he was so mad that I might be on drugs. And I want to say, Dad, you gave me the Velvet Underground record, man. Stop gaslighting
Yeah,
me.
you gave me the song with heroin all over it. I don't know. That's not my problem.
Sold me the heroin, right? But no, but he was very cool and very supportive of that, and
Yeah.
like I say, up and down through the years, more or less supportive, but definitely gave me uh, an area to do that in. They just re-released "Stop Making Sense" in the theaters,
Yeah.
and my mom and dad dropped me off when that was originally released. I don't know what year that was, but I was a young kid, and they
Okay.
just dropped me off in the middle of Chicago and said, "Go watch this movie."
Wait,
And
so why were they giving you this stuff though? Like you're saying that they weren't fans of it. Why were they like you should get into this?
like they would listen to Eric Clapton or whatever popular Joe Cocker,
Okay.
fucking like what was that? Barbara Streisand, lots of dumb shit. Johnny
Sure.
Mathis.
Yeah.
But
Crap.
yes, sure. I like some of that stuff nowadays. That's fine.
A little bit, yeah, here and there. All right.
Always music in that. There was always a turntable in the house there with good loud speakers and always music. And I don't know if they just thought like I was a kid and they saw my weirdo friends. And so they were just being cool, I suppose, is all they were doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know where my dad even would have heard of the Velvet Underground, to be honest. I literally have no idea.
All right. This is something you got
Uh,
to ask him at some point. That'd be really good to know.
I guess it would be. You're right.
Well, because
Because
how old were you when he gave it to you?
like sixth grade or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Like
fucking young, man.
because
That's
I
crazy.
like I do remember that transition going from sixth grade to seventh grade and making the conscious decision, I'm punk now.
Yeah.
Like, and that like I don't know why I made that decision, and it was me and a friend, Mike Dixon, uh, and that wasn't a thing that you did back then. And when we showed up to junior high, first day of school, everybody was like, "What the fuck are you? Why is your hair spiky? Why are you wearing a leather jacket?" Like that kind of stupid stuff. But it was before that
Yeah.
my dad handed me Bob Marley or Velvet Underground and stuff like that.
Wild.
He was a salesman that worked around Chicago, and he was cool that way. He'd do his work and stop at a record store and buy me a record, or he'd stop at a pawn shop and buy me an acoustic guitar or something like that.
That's
Like,
fucking crazy. That's awesome.
right? God,
Yeah, man.
don't make me cry about my dad because
I'm
it's not
sorry.
the best, but geez, he was cool sometimes, man.
Yeah, no, it sounds it. I mean, look, I'm a dad. I got two kids,
He's
and
not
I
dead or anything.
good,
He's
good.
he's still around and we still talk every week and he's still pretty cool dude.
That's why you should ask him, like, where the fuck did you get those records, man?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, look, so that's a really cool introduction to like some pretty groundbreaking music. Uh now I asked you on here to speak about a record that was important to you and kind of, influential to you, maybe helps you or kind of helped shape what you do. And you chose Sonny Sharrock's Black Woman.
Yes, I did. And I've been thinking since I chose it, whew, that's a heady record to choose, man. I don't like
Yeah, sure
it's
is.
there's a lot of weight behind the record, and I'm not sure I can speak to how important that record is. But it,
Well,
it sure was important.
yeah, okay. Well, then tell me about that. How like when did you first come across it?
Well, later in life,
Sure.
I'm guessing mid 90s.
Okay.
So I was already a fixture and involved with a lot of weird music,
Oh, okay.
outsider music,
Sure.
lots of noise rock, lots of industrial music, just lots of weird music. But somewhere in the mid 90s, late 90s, I heard that album, and I think I was at a low point in my own musical journey, like just tired of it and not understanding what you could do with it.
Hmm.
And I don't know who showed it to me, but it blew my fucking mind, man. Like,
Yeah.
geez, this talking about it is emotional because it was something I'd never heard. It was something I had heard. There was lots of bands playing skronky guitar. There was lots of bands doing free jazz, but there was something about that record that opened up like another dimension. Like it doesn't all have to be ugly, or it doesn't all have to be aggressive. You can play this ugly, aggressive music, and there
Okay.
can be utter beauty and joy involved in it.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I was just listening
That's
to it.
yeah. Well, hold on.
No, I was just listening to it. I just went out for a little bit in the city and came back, and on the way home back home, I'm in the car with my son who's 15. And I was just like, this is what I'm talking about tonight. Let's put it on. So I put it on in the car. And by the time we got to the last song, man, he was just like, I was feeling it. And he just called it out to me. He was just like, I don't know if we can keep on listening to this. Like,
It makes me
because,
so happy, man. I was so scared to talk about this record. It
yeah,
means a lot, and it is. It's beautiful.
it's beautiful. It's gut wrenching. It's fucking,
It's wrenching,
yeah. It's
and
a,
he didn't do that out of thin air. There are some people doing that before, but it's like a pure. There was people attempting to do it, and he did just a pure expression of noise as joy and beauty and paint. It was awesome. It was,
right.
and I play it all the fucking time. And even some of my weirdo friends that like weirdo music, they roll their eyes. A lot of people still don't get it. So I'm glad that you and your son got it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was having a moment, man. I was just like, I was getting choked up. I was just like, yeah, okay, I know. We should probably turn this off.
Yeah, no, it meant a lot. And when people roll their eyes at it, to me, I don't know if it was that immediate feeling or if it was that, or living with it for so long now,
Hmm.
that I can't understand how people don't get that feeling that you got from it. That
Oh
I
yeah.
still
Right,
like
right.
today. I listen to it at work with all my buddies and coworkers, and that's exactly what we talked about, was that gut wrenching feeling of just pure emotional outlet.
Sure. And you're talking about that record with a bunch of record store workers. So you
Yep.
got the biggest heads in the business. Like,
Yep. And a lot of those guys are that I worked with today are into some weirdo shit.
I
A
bet.
couple of
Yeah.
jazz bros, a couple of yeah, just weirdos, straight up weirdos. And yeah, it was fun talking about it with them. Yeah.
Okay. Not as fun as now.
Well, I don't know how weird you are, man.
No, I'm plenty weird, man. I love it. But
This
but
shit.
this is like you said, it's a heavy record, and this has got a serious amount of weight to it. I've never been a big jazz person. I mean, I have experimented with it for sure, and I do appreciate a lot of it. This is a weird one, free jazz from '69.
I was afraid to talk about this record a little bit is because I'm not the biggest jazz guy. I Yes, I like a lot of free jazz, but I like a lot of specific free jazz,
Okay, that's
and
cool.
it's got to hit a certain note for me. So even this record, Sonny Sharrock's Black Woman, was something beyond that for me. Like
Hmm.
I had listened to free jazz a lot and liked it, found it the perfect offshoot of the weirder end of punk music that I was delving into. And growing up in was Chicago was known as, like, the coast had hardcore. Chicago had art punk
Yeah.
in those days. And I definitely gravitated much more towards the art punk scene. And then that led me into free jazz. This was something beyond all of that. Like I knew it was free jazz, but it was something else. It was pure expression. Not even experimenting at this point. He was just knew what they were doing. They laid down like a beautiful album of the ugliest music you could possibly come up with, and somehow made it beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, like, I think a lot of jazz has those elements, right? A lot of jazz has a lot of like pretty and melodic moments, but then they kind of devolves into a lot of like kind of noisier stuff, kind of things that don't seem very maybe atonal, whatever you want to call it. Um yeah, but there's so much fucking going on with this record. Now, so you said, just to go back to what you were saying, you said you were scared to talk about this record. Like, why were you scared to talk about this record?
Well, it's a free jazz record, and
Yeah.
I'm not a jazz bow. Like I say, I
Okay.
like a lot of it and listen to a lot of it, but I would never say I'm knowledgeable enough to discuss jazz.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's just
Uh,
because you're not like a serious
I don't
jazz head.
I don't know the depth of what all those guys were doing, but this is a specific record that
Mm-hmm.
speaks of an experience that I can't ever talk about. It's called Black One,
Right. Right.
and like you can hear why it's called Black One
Right.
in the music,
Oh
but
yeah.
I can't talk about that. Like I don't. But that's why I love it so much. I think is it speaks of a very specific struggle
Hmm.
that I will always be a part of, but somehow it made me a part of that.
Okay. All right. I can appreciate that, and I actually have more to touch on that later. But there's one thing, like, so I didn't know this record when you chose it, so I had to get into it, and
Well, I hope
I
you liked it, man.
I
And you
do I
said,
do like it. I do like it, man. Thank you. Thank you. You turned me on to this, and it's like it's gonna be a landmark for sure. Because like just like you, I mean, I'm not a big jazz head. Like I don't even know what direction to go into, like as far as jazz is concerned. So if someone can give me a jazz record specifically and say, dig this, I'll be like, okay, this is awesome. Like I can see this is a pretty good choice. There's one thing I thought about when I first put this on. Can you tell me if you think there's a difference between free form psychedelic or avant-garde jazz and noise rock? Or is there a similarity, maybe I should say? Like where is the thread that kind of puts
of
those two
course,
things?
but of course, there's a similarity. And I knew there was some similarity before I heard this record. But I think the joy that I experienced from first the first 10 times I listened to this record I heard it and became immediately obsessed, is the similarities and the realization that what I was doing before had a direct through line to something important people were trying to do before me. There's people that struggled and failed to do this in so many different ways. And that made me reconnect with music in a way that, like, oh, it's all of a piece and you don't have to worry about what you're doing. Everybody's making free music is sort of how I looked at it at the time.
Yeah.
And so some of those noise rock bands know this shit, know the free jazz guys,
Sure.
and build off of that, which when you're a kid, you don't realize that. But then as you grow up, oh, you realize that's what they're doing. Some of those noise rock bands didn't know that shit, but it didn't matter. They were doing the same fucking thing,
Right.
just going about it from a different angle. And I realized sort of the angles that you take are less important to what you're doing, as maybe not the end result, but the meaning or something. I don't quite know where I'm going with that, but
Okay.
it is all of a piece. Sure.
All right.
Avant-garde music is all of a piece.
Yeah. Sure. So let me ask you this. What do you think you pulled away from this musically? Like as far as like, to your craft, you're the guitar player for your band Quits. Like guitar wise, do you think you pulled something from this? And if so, do you know what it
Sure.
is?
100%. And I mean, I was already doing some of that shit, and I wasn't always a noise rocker guy. I
Hmm.
played, like I said, in a jangle pop band. And I've
Sure.
played some synth bands. But hearing him play specifically, I was already well on my way to trying to do what he does. But hearing somebody do it in such a loose but focused way, and in a different genre in jazz, made me realize that no, you don't. I don't have to worry about that shit anymore. I just let it go, man, and just play the skronk. And in Quits, we're not doing Sonny Sharrock stuff, but there's plenty of just letting the guitar play itself, finding like the guitar tells me where the fingers go, or the song tells me where what noises I should make. And there's plenty of that in Quits where you're just letting the song dictate what noises you should make.
Okay. I hear that. Because there's two guitars in your band, right? So
Yeah.
Lucius plays guitar as well, but are you the lead guitar?
I don't know if we've ever bothered to figure that out. He
Okay.
sings guitar, or he sings. So since he's singing and has to be bothered by that, I do get the chance to play sort of counter melodies to whatever the song is doing.
Okay.
And in Quits, there's a lot of, in the guitar parts that I play, there's a lot of dissonance on purpose,
Hmm.
less free than Sonny was, but definitely trying to bring in that dissonance. And then I can't help but let it resolve into sort of the skronk that he made me knowledgeable of. You can
Sure.
do that with guitar. You don't have to put your fingers anywhere. You can just make noises, and that can be the song. And that's what I do a lot of.
Okay. Yeah.
And
I'm trying to figure out like because I've been listening to your record, the new one, Feeling It, and I was just trying to figure out which guitar you may have been, or like if what you were doing is kind of like the first guitar I can hear.
it's a little hard to tell. I wish I could say, but Luke is a great guitar player,
Hmm.
and we've played together for a long time. We played in a band about 20 years ago. Maybe not that long, maybe that long ago. But we started playing together again because we sort of naturally hook up with our guitars. Our guitars
Sure.
circle around each other, and we're able to make weird sounds together that maybe we don't make apart, you know?
Sure. Yeah, you have symbiosis, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. I mean, I just figured it would be hard for me to figure out between. I can't tell which guitar is which, really, and not knowing you guys, I mean, I would never be able to
It
tell.
sometimes starts out with me playing a counter melody, which maybe sounds like a lead, but I think I would call a counter melody. But then it very quickly gets undercut or overtaken or added to by Luke's cool guitars. And all of a sudden you can't tell what guitar is what. And
Yeah.
so I know it because we recorded it, but to try and tell you like what guitar is what, it's usually me playing those counter melodies on top, but it's not always. Luke definitely comes in with
Yeah.
some very cool parts.
Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, I just, listening to the record, I know that like maybe even the first song specifically, I feel like has a lot of like guitar parts in it that I felt like were sounded like they kind of like were derived from the playing that Sonny Sharrock is doing on this record, a little bit.
There's a lot of that in me, and the band is definitely open to exploring all that shit. And then once we go into that, it's very easy to get sort of lost into just making our guitars sound sort of ugly, you know?
Sure.
And
Yeah, yeah.
I don't mean ugly and I mean ugly in a specific way, you know, like letting those guitars get out there and do
Sure.
what they're doing, you know?
Yeah, no, I can relate. I can understand that. Maybe not everybody else can, but I think I know what you mean. So I was asking you about like, what you think you may have pulled away from this music, like kind of inspiration wise, because I found this interview that Ben Ratliff did with Sonny Sharrock, and he asks him a question. What he says is, "So you mean to say that your musical thoughts actually come as tenor saxophone notes?" And Sonny
That
Sharrock's
is
response was, I hear the tenor. Man, those cats were just the best." Because, he was an aspiring sax player, but he couldn't play the sax because he his asthma.
that is 100% also inspirational to me. And I sort of look on myself that way. I did play saxophone in a free jazz band.
Oh, okay.
Not good at it, but was fun as shit to do
Okay.
with some of the guys from Friends Forever. If anybody ever remembers that band name, they were great. You could watch their documentary. But you can make your guitar sound, even though it sounds like a guitar, it's making the noises that a different instrument can play. And on Black Woman, especially, what is the last song? I forget what the last song is called. For Willie, I think it might be called.
No, no, no. That's Blind Willie. The last song is Portrait of Linda in Three Colors, all black.
Blind Willie, though, is
Okay.
just solo Sonny Sharrock. And you can actually hear him trying to blow the notes on saxophone. It's awesome, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
awesome. He really thought he was a saxophone player, and that is inspiring to me. That you can shred like Albert Eiler
Yeah, yeah.
on the guitar. You can be a saxophone player. You can be a trombone player. You know, that was a big thing growing up in punk. Was I was a huge Minutemen fan as a kid,
Okay.
and reading interviews with those guys and Mike Watt saying like, "Oh, I heard Albert Eiler and I thought it was a hardcore. I just thought he was another hardcore band." Uh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's all the same. And to learn that Sonny Sharrock thinks he's a saxophone player
Right.
it's inspiring and freeing to me. You can do
Yeah.
whatever the fuck you want on the guitar, you know?
Yeah, man. No, I hear you. Well, let me ask you this based on that quote I just read to you. Do you think you hear in guitar or do you hear in another instrument?
Well, like we talked about a little bit earlier, I drew bass as a high school kid,
Hmm.
and I think I hear a lot still in bass. And I've definitely opened myself up on purpose to hear the guitar as a different instrument. But I realize it's a guitar. Like I don't know what else to say about that. But I've opened my mind up. When I'm writing songs, they turn into quit songs. And I've been in different bands, less avant-garde, more avant-garde, definitely more avant-garde than this, or definitely poppier than this. This is Quits is its own thing. But when I'm writing songs for it, I think I'm writing a Throbbing Gristle song, or I think I'm writing a Sonny Sharrock song. You
Hmm.
know, it comes out as Quits, but in my head, I think it's Hamburger Lady by Throbbing Gristle, or I think it's Peanut by Sonny Sharrock, or what,
Yeah.
like,
All right.
and I'm okay that it doesn't sound like that at the end. In my mind, that's still what it fucking sounds like is Einsters and Neubau.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Um, so look, we're gonna get into the album. I'm gonna try to do track by track. This album's only 5 songs long, which is great for me. Incredibly challenging because not only was it a free jazz album, but it's mostly instrumental.
Yeah,
There's vocals.
she's a lot, man.
What's that?
She sings a lot.
Oh yeah, no, there's vocals. I mean, there's no lyrics. So that was a little bit of a tricky part for my analysis of the song. But I mean, like you were saying earlier, man, I mean, you feel it. You just hear it. Like it doesn't need
Well,
words necessarily.
I'm a little nervous getting into it track by track
Okay. Why?
because it's mean it's just a piece to me. The whole thing is a piece to me, and it's just one long song that you hear her singing. I know it's not singing. I know she's not saying words, but to me, she's saying words.
Sure.
And so,
Well,
like,
it conveys a feeling, I mean, so you don't need the words.
no, yeah.
So, and I get what you mean. I mean, I understand that the album is a piece, really. Um, but there's certainly a heavy message in here. I don't know if I would necessarily call it a theme, but I mean, look, the fucking album is called Black Woman.
Black
There-
woman, and like that's what it's about.
Right. It
The
was released in
first,
1969.
yep,
So I mean, like like timeline wise, historically speaking, I mean, this is a poignant piece of
folk jazz.
um. So I say it again.
Folk jazz. That's sort of what like 69 to 71.
Hmm.
Those free jazz guys were maybe listening to some folk and letting I'm like Eddie Gale or Albert Eiler. They're still way the fuck out there,
Hmm.
but there's a definite influence of folk music in there.
Sure, sure, yeah. Well, it's storytelling, kind of.
Sure, yeah.
Well, so okay, so the first song on the album is called Black Woman, so it's the title track. What I have from it here is written by Marcus J. Moore, writing for the New York Times. He included the album on his list of 15 essential Black liberation jazz tracks. And so what he writes is, writing that the title track, quote, was meant to convey the paralyzing stress felt by Black women every day in this country. For much of this song, Sharrock's wife emits primal screams as the intensity of Sonny's rapid guitar chords grow more riotous. The track might be jarring, but it effectively captures the pain of being treated as subhuman. That's kind of what you were saying earlier, right?
It is. but I also think maybe that's not enough for that fucking song, man. That's a killer fucking song. And I think, though the album charts maybe the journey of a black woman, that song charts everything that someone might have to go through in that particular time, in that particular era. It goes from beauty and love and peace to being scared, to horror, to anger, to back to peace and love and acceptance. And like, that song says a fucking lot in 5 minutes or whatever, 7 minutes, however long it is.
Yeah, 5 minutes, 16 seconds. Now, your description of the song is accurate, but it also encapsulates the whole record. Just like you were saying, like about this quote that I read to you. I mean, it's really a description of essentially the whole record, you know? But I have to ask you about this song. I mean, like, do you relate to this statement in any way?
Yeah.
Or how do you relate to it?
I said I'm a little nervous to talk about this is because I have no authority to speak on the experience of black women, or black woman. But there was something, they made it universal. And that's maybe what I grew to love after my first exposure to it was it made me feel what she was feeling, you know, and I think everybody can feel that. And when maybe I was first listening to it, I thought, oh, I'm a black woman. Like, I get this shit. And of course I don't fucking get that shit.
Right.
But I get what it felt like to be like ostracized and outsidered, you know, like, I don't know, just poor, trashy little kid that never fit in anywhere and never could get anywhere, and just being an outsider and looked down on. And you get it, like there's beauty in, you don't have to fucking let that shit get you down. You can just
so you are relating to it. You are relating to this music.
You can just be what you are and live through that struggle and find the beauty in that struggle. I love that aspect of it, relating to that album, which I shouldn't be able to relate to, maybe.
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of music, man. I mean, it's like, you know, like you have to find your little piece of it that you can kind of relate to, because if you don't make that any kind of relation and put your hooks into it in some way, I mean, it's not going to resonate with you.
And it's also maybe why that's so good is they were able to do that. They were, as a band, not just Sonny and Linda, but all those other guys, that like the piano in that song, the bass in that song, the drums in that song are intense. The drums in that song are beautiful and express just as much emotion, I think, as Linda Sharrock is expressing.
Sure. Yeah. Look, let's move on to the next song. Peanut. What do you know about this song? Anything?
Nothing.
Okay.
Except that sometimes I wonder if it might be Sonny Sharrock's pet name for Linda. That's all I can come up with, is because it's a beautiful fucking song.
Yeah.
And I think it might be a love song to his wife.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I have a theory. So in the research, I found out that Peanut was the nickname of a black woman named Mamie Johnson. All right. So Mamie Johnson was one of 3 women to play in the Negro League and the only woman to take the mound as pitcher.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And so she was nicknamed Peanut because she was tiny. She was like 5'3". She was like still a peanut of a girl.
Whoa, you're
Yeah.
blowing my mind. I did not know that, and it makes me love it even more, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like it's so keeping with the theme of black woman being the theme of the album, essentially. I mean, here's this black woman who is overcoming, social injustices and racial prejudice and becoming one of the first women and premier woman to like play in the Negro League in the 50s.
Like, well, it speaks to the theme of the album and the
Mm-hmm.
title of the album. And I was content to think that that was just, pardon me, his wife's nickname. And I thought that was beautiful enough. The fact that he's writing songs about all black women, about someone I've never heard of before, and
Right.
he deemed that enough to write an ode to her.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it even better for me. Like,
Yeah.
he's literally, it's full of fucking love. It's full of love, man.
It's full of love and admiration for the black woman because I mean, like, who struggles more? Yeah, I mean, look, it's a political statement and it's certainly a period piece. I mean, I think that there's a lot of people that struggle these days, but I mean, black women have it pretty fucking hard. I mean, women will say in general, women have it hard. Completely agree with that. So if you keep on adding on the minorities to that like label, right? So women have it hard. You add black woman on top of that, makes it worse. You add like black homosexual woman out on top of that, and fucking even worse. You just kind of keep on narrowing it down to like the dregs.
The all male, already discriminated baseball league.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah, like, that's an important statement that he's making.
I
He's
think so. Yeah.
writing a love letter to the downtrodden, which I think is where I relate to it. Not the downtrodden, but a love letter to the outsiders.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah.
the outsiders. It's a love letter to outsiders.
Yeah.
And that's definitely where I connect with it,
Right.
for
Well, like you
sure.
said, it's about all black women. It's not just like the one black woman. I mean, like
I
Linda
think
Sharrock
it's
is
also about her, but I
sure
think it's also about all black women.
in this album. Linda is carrying the weight of generations of black women through her lyrical performance or through her vocal performance. Like that's what it is. And that's what's so fucking powerful is that you just feel like anything that you know about history, like whether you're a history buff or not, like you fucking know that they had struggle, from day one to now, and that's the fucking weight that this whole album carries, and it's carried through her voice.
And sort of what I love about it, and maybe when we get to different songs, we might talk about it, but that is the overwhelming sensation of the album. But there are moments of, in the music and in her singing, there's moments of utter tranquility
Oh
or
yeah.
beauty or
Mm-hmm.
peace or acceptance,
Joy.
like, or joy,
Yeah.
or like where it's, life isn't all a fucking struggle, man.
Yeah.
Like,
No, there's
sometimes
beauty to it.
hard you struggle, it's still fucking beautiful, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Look, so I got to ask you a question about this song Peanut. From what I told you about, this song, and this is a complete hypothesis. I have nothing to corroborate that this is what it is about, but it seems essentially, being an ode to this woman nicknamed Peanut who overcame a lot of social injustice. I think you took the name of your new album, Feeling It, from a similar scenario of injustice and other human atrocities. Is that right?
It was sort of a general sense of disillusionment, I think, feeling this record, just because of when we lived through, we lived through the pandemic. We were doing this through the pandemic. And so that was a part of it. but almost a joke part of it. We're feeling it. We're sick with the fucking COVID, but it also meant we're feeling everything.
Right.
It sort of meant we're just feeling the same old fucking shit that we've all always been feeling, but there's new shit that we have to fucking deal with now, and we're feeling it. It's just hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Hard.
Feeling everything that is kind of becoming overwhelming.
So that is definitely an extension of the way that this Sonny record made me feel.
Hmm.
And 100%, yes, that's what it meant. We're feeling fucking everything.
Okay.
And not just the bad. We're not just feeling the sick or the fucking cops or the fucking politicians or whatever the fuck. We're also feeling the good shit. It all we're feeling it all and having to process that shit, you know.
Right. Okay. I hear you, man. Well, look, let's move on to the next song. By Biolero, I guess you pronounce it that way.
Ilero.
Biolero. All right, so this one's weird. So it's labeled as traditional. I really don't know where this song comes from, really.
I think it's an old French song, and baila it means
Dance. Yep.
and I think it's in reference to a dance
Okay.
that they're performing. Is
All
what
right.
I believe. That's all. That's just what I think. Knowing my little bit of Spanish or Portuguese, I believe that's what bailero is. They're referring to a dance. I've
Right.
not heard the original song. I might have checked it out once or twice throughout the years, but I don't know the original.
Okay. Neither do I. But I did find this about this online. So I found this on songtell.com. So this is like nothing to put any stakes in. Okay. I mean, this is like, as a matter of fact, this quote was generated by AI. All right. So
Doing now AI interviews.
well, I mean, just take it with a grain of salt. But so Bailero by Sonny Sharrock is a unique and enigmatic song that transcends traditional language barriers through its use of an ancient, I can't even pronounce this word, ancient Occitan language. Occitan. It's Occitan. I don't know. I'm not familiar with this. I probably should have looked it up.
Yep. I wish I had gone this deep in my re-listening, but
Right. So the lyrics, I mean, so actually I saw that the lyrics, like if I listen to music on Apple Music for the most part, and so you can actually you can look at the lyrics along with the song as it plays, and this has lyrics printed. So there are lyrics for this song, and it is in a different language.
oh, in a different language.
Yeah.
They're printed in a different language?
Yeah. It's all written out, and it's a different language. I can't read it. I have no fucking idea what it means. But
What
so
language?
what's that?
Tell what language?
I can't tell what language, but based on this, it's saying it's Occitan or Occitan. I don't know how to pronounce this. But so anyway, so going on with this quote, it says that the lyrics translated into English depict a pastoral scene, referring to a shepherd, quote, pastre, that's the guy's name, I guess, and his flock. So through its repetitive refrain and rhythmic structure, the song presents a rich tapestry of emotions and imagery, inviting listeners to delve into its hidden depths. Let's see. So overall, through the use of evocative imagery, timeless language, and repetitive refrain, the song creates a captivating atmosphere reminiscent of an idyllic pastoral world. The shepherd's role as caretaker for the land and his flock reflects the symbiotic relationship between humans and nature.
I almost wish I didn't know that because it's perfect and it fits perfectly as the third song, as they've already struggled so much in those first two songs, and now they're going out and saying like it's all good, man. It's all
Sure.
pretty, it's all beautiful, it's all easy. Just
just take it easy, and it's all gonna be okay.
Right.
That's what that song sounds like to me. And now hearing what it actually means sort of sounds like that's what they're saying is like
Yeah. I mean,
relates.
kind of like just getting back to nature, just kind of like, look, just kind of maybe whatever the pressures and the stresses that we feel, um, get back to nature and get back to a happier kind of like easier time, right?
Yeah, but also in the context of the album itself, I think it more means like the black woman of the title
Hmm.
is saying it's all right, man.
Yeah.
Like
Okay. Yeah.
like we can live through this shit. We can do this. It's not all pain and struggle. It's we can live our fucking lives and be happy.
Right. Okay. I can agree with that. But based on what I told you and kind of like this if the song in fact is a relationship or at least describing the the relationship between humans and nature, being from Denver or at least being in Denver currently, like do you have a relationship with nature?
Oh, sure. Sure, a little less these days, but of course, like that's why you moved to Denver.
Right.
Denver's exploded. A lot of Quits music deals with the unfortunate explosion in population or uh, urban growth that Colorado and Denver is experiencing. But that's why you moved to Denver, is because you can't help but notice it here. It,
Hmm.
it's an overwhelming here. The mountains are always looming to the west. Sunset is always a brilliant red over the west. It's
Hmm.
20
Okay.
minutes and half an hour to get to mountains where you think this is the deepest mountain that must exist, but it's only a half an hour away from Denver. It's Denver sort of forces a connection of nature on you.
So you kind of have to love it if you're living there.
I think so. I think that maybe, I mean, I moved here from Chicago on purpose because of that.
Oh, okay.
So maybe I'm a little more open to it, but it's prevalent. And so growing up in Chicago, you don't notice it as much. In Denver, it's just all around. It's always there.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, look, let's move on. We only got a couple more to go.
All right.
Blind Willie.
So I talked about this one before.
Right.
Can't get over it, man. I can't get over hearing him play his guitar, thinking that he's a saxophone player. He's
Right.
getting it in, and I think it's a tribute to a blues guy. I don't know if it is or not, but he's
Sure.
blowing his heart out. He's
All right.
blowing his heart out as hard as he can, man.
Right. Right. All right. Well, look, this is what I have about it, and then I have a pretty involved question for you afterwards. So what I have here says it's what's striking about this version of Blind Willie, ostensibly a tribute to Blind Willie Johnson, but perhaps also Blind Willie McTell, is Sharrock's audible breathing throughout the piece, pacing his phrases as a reed player would. So the effect is intimate and mildly unsettling, but entirely part of Sharrock's concept and approach to his instrument. And that was by Matthew Sumera of Trouser Press.
Well, he I know this much about Sonny Sharrock. He wanted to play saxophone. I don't know who he heard it, maybe Coltrane or Eiler or something like that. And he wanted to be a saxophone player.
Right.
But he had asthma and couldn't play the saxophone. So he tried to play his guitar as though it was a saxophone, which, fine, you can say that all you want. But to hear him fucking do it on a song,
Right.
play his guitar and try to breathe the parts through his guitar is killer to me. It's
killer.
awesome. It's amazing. It's awesome.
Right. Well, look, let me ask you this. Is there anything you have noticed or maybe been told is unique about your playing? Possibly being derived from previous habits or skills, kind of like what we're talking about, like Sonny, kind of being inspired by saxophone, but not being able to play it and kind of influencing his playing.
Particularly me, no. Nobody talks about my guitar playing. There's some people that will say some stuff here or there. I don't think I'm at any kind of scale where people might be talking about that.
Mm-hmm. But what do you think?
Well, of course. I think the guitar can be anything. And I think I realized that early on. But living with this album for so long made me realize the guitar can be anything. The guitar can be a drum. The guitar can be a saxophone. The guitar can be a synthesizer. The guitar can be a garbage truck. The guitar could be a hammer or a pillow. It could be anything you want it to be, whatever you want it to make it sound like. Just make that noise. It's not that hard.
Okay.
And as far as being known for guitar playing around these parts, I think people think that I'm a pretty weird guitar player, and they'll never express it in the way that we're expressing now. But that's the way I think of guitar, is it can be anything. It could be whatever the fuck you want it to be. Okay. And that's how I go into every single song that I ever write.
All right. Cool, man. That sounds cool, man. That sounds fucking awesome, really. All right, moving on to the last song. Portrait of Linda in 3 colors, all black. Oh, I know, man. I'm fucking dying. This song kills me.
It kills me. It's beautiful.
Right. This is the culmination of everything. Everything we were talking about, everything that we expressed as far as like what this album kind of like expresses, details. It's fucking all in here. It's all this song. It's all for this song, really.
And it's a love song. He writes it right there in the title.
Yep.
It's a love song, but it's so much more than a love song,
Well, it's a piece of art, like just kind of like an artist would say, like a portrait of. This is a portrait of Linda. Yeah. And now, musically speaking, it's in 3 parts. But then of course he has to kind of add his little all black kind of connection to it, because I mean, like it's in 3 parts, but they're all black. Like whatever you're taking from this, if you're thinking it's positive, you think it's happy, whatever, because there is some of that in there, it's all black. Don't forget it's black.
Right, exactly. Which is part of the beauty of that album. When you get to the end of it and you realize all black, and maybe you're not a part of that, but you come to realize the beauty of that statement that he's making. It's all black, and there's beauty and love involved in that.
Right. Absolutely. So I got this really long, fucking drawn out thing describing kind of all 3 parts. I kind of don't want to get into that. I think we think we're very familiar with the song. We know what it is. We know how it goes. Let's see. There's a quote here. Of all this shit that I have here, it's like it's really focusing on Linda's vocals, right? So she returns wailing a keening note, attempting to match the trumpet in power, surpass it in height, but she keeps falling just short, never quite hitting the note that will resolve the chord. As she continues to sing, the notes grow more ragged and exhausted, and her voice cracks, sobs, shakes. At last she is merely moaning, grumbling, muttering, then silence. The 3rd section is instrumental, guitar, piano, and drums raving out to the end of time. The song ends on a fade out. For all we know, they're still playing. That's a quote from Jonathan Bogart from One Week, One Band blog. So based on this definition of the singing performance, I'm curious if this is also a sonic timeline of the life of a black woman condensed into a few excruciating minutes.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say because the whole album is that. But
Yeah.
that song is particularly that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this song is particularly that. And for all we know, they might still be playing, man.
Yeah.
That's great. I've never heard that quote, and I don't know what Sonny Sharrock was thinking. You know, I don't know.
No, I know. I don't either. I mean, a lot of what we're talking about tonight is complete speculation. You know, there's no hard facts here, but I mean, I think we can certainly feel what he must have been trying to intend.
And if I were to think about it, yes, of course, that's what it is. That's 100% what it is the life of a black woman condensed into 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, we don't know for sure, but I mean, it's all, you know, the beauty of music is it's all, you know, interpretation. It's whatever you want to pull out of it, essentially. So, let me just ask you this in closing. Are you consciously aware of, or is it your objective to try to bring discomfort to an audience?
Yes. That's a huge fucking thing, is to bring discomfort to the audience. And I think I've been more explicit about it in the past, even in a band with Luke, that is the singer of this band of Quits.
Yep.
We were in bands that were that much more explicitly, but it's not 100% our goal anymore. But there's a lot of staring at the audience. There's a lot of dissonance. There's a lot of atonality.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of
confrontation,
feedback. There's less confrontation these days. There's just letting that uncomfortableness hang.
Okay.
Is more, there used to be confrontation. Now there's like the notes sound wrong, or the song goes on too long, or the song stops too abruptly, or they're staring a little too intensely at one person in the audience, or that kind of shit, where it's there's
tension.
Tension and uncomfortableness that I think should be part of it. Look, I'm not a black woman, and I didn't live through fucking the hardest shit in the whole world, but everybody lives through hard shit, and I think that should be part of going to see my band, at least. Maybe any band. Maybe when you go see Taylor Swift, you should be uncomfortable for a little bit. I don't know. I've never seen Taylor Swift, but when you see me, I think, or when you see my band, I hope you're uncomfortable for a little while.
Okay. Cool, man.
I do. Yeah, I really think that's important.
Sure. I mean, noise rock in general, I mean, I think that it kind of is par for the course. I don't think anyone that is a fan of noise rock would necessarily go out to a noise rock show and not expect to be a little kind of jarred a little bit, you know, by something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of that's it, man. Look, I gotta say, thank you for choosing this record. This has been.
I'm so glad you loved it, and I'm so glad that you fucking researched it and knew so much about it, and it was so fun talking to you about it. Really.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Love it so much. I try to talk about it with people all the time, and they're like, "Jog on, motherfucker." So it's good. It was fun to talk about how important this fucking record is, man.
I think it is. And then, you know, I hope that we reach more people with it, and more people will give it a shot and get it.
Yeah.
I hope. But also, I hope that they give Quits a shot. Feeling It is the new album. When's it coming out?
It is out last Friday.
Oh, it already came out.
It came out last Friday, and on Sleeping Giant Glossolalia, home of Peter Brötzmann, who is a 60s German free jazz player who played with Sonny Sharrock. I'm honored to be on a label with a lineage that goes straight back to Sonny Sharrock and free jazz lineage of the mid-60s.
That's awesome, man.
I'm actually honored to do it. Peter Brötzmann just died a month or so ago. But,
I'm sorry. That sucks.
Gosh, they were in an awesome... Peter Brötzmann and Sonny Sharrock were in an 80s metal band that you should check out as we leave this interview.
Okay.
Gosh, those two giants of free jazz were in an awesome metal band called Last Exit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was hearing about it in the research. Yeah, I gotta give it a shot.
Good.
Cool, man. Well, look, thanks a lot for doing this. Thank you so much for the selection. Changing my life. Seriously.
Oh, goddamn, that makes me happy. And James, it was good talking to you, man.
Vinyl and Vision is a Psychic Static production. Theme song written and performed by Jeff Robbins of 123 Astronaut.